The dog who led them to the forgotten grave. The village of Elmridge had long forgotten the man buried beneath the old oak tree at the edge of the forest. The grass had grown wild, and the small stone that once marked the grave was covered in moss. No one visited. No one remembered, except for one dog. Every evening, as the sun began to set, a skinny golden retriever would limp through the village streets. He wore no collar, and no one claimed him. The children called him Lucky, though no one knew why. He never barked, never begged. He only walked the same path every evening, slowly, steadily, toward the forest's edge. Some villagers said the dog was mad. Others believed he was looking for someone who'd left and never returned. But no one followed him, until the day that young Emily did. Emily was 10, curious and brave. She had seen Lucky walk by her window every day for months. One evening, she decided to follow him. She tiptoed behind as the dog led her through the winding path of the forest, past trees heavy with age and shadows thick with silence. Finally, they reached the clearing near the old oak tree. Lucky stopped. He sat down in front of a barely noticeable mound, covered in leaves and overgrown roots. He looked at Emily, eyes deep and knowing, then gently lay down beside the grave. Emily's heart beat faster. She didn't understand, but she felt the weight of something sacred. She returned the next day with her father, the town's carpenter, and together they cleared the area. The grave was unmarked, but beneath the stone they found a faded wooden plaque. Here rests Thomas Hale, a man of quiet deeds and loyal heart, 1943 to 1982. No one in the village remembered Thomas Hale. Not the elders, not the records. It was as if he had lived in the shadows and died in silence. But Emily wouldn't let the story end there. She began asking questions. She visited the oldest residents and combed through old letters and forgotten photographs in the town hall. Piece by piece, the story came together, and it left everyone breathless. Thomas Hale had once lived quietly in Elmridge. He was a war veteran, injured, with no family left. He had adopted a golden retriever named Max, his companion and only friend. They were inseparable. Thomas would take care of the village's stray animals, fix broken fences, help farmers harvest, all without asking for anything in return. But Thomas carried invisible wounds. After years of kindness, he passed away quietly one winter night, alone in his cabin. Max had stayed by his side until help came. No one claimed Thomas's body, so he was buried near the forest where he used to walk Max. Max refused to leave the grave. He waited there every day, in the rain and sun, until the day he, too, passed away. The villagers, touched by Max's devotion, buried him beside Thomas. But the years went on. Time erased the memory. Trees grew, people moved, and the grave fell into silence. Until one day, a dog returned. Emily brought this story to the town square. Tears filled the eyes of those who listened. It was as though Thomas and Max had returned to remind them of what they had forgotten: kindness, loyalty, and the weight of unnoticed lives. Lucky was not Max, not in body, but many believed his spirit had returned, drawn by the thread of unfinished devotion. From that day on, the village restored the grave. They carved a new stone. Here lie Thomas and Max, two souls, one heart, bound in loyalty beyond death. Lucky continued to visit the grave every evening. He never stayed long, just enough to lay a flower Emily would bring each day. And then, one morning, Lucky didn't come. Emily searched the village, then the forest. She found him resting peacefully beside the grave, his eyes closed, body still, a calm expression on his face. The villagers buried Lucky beside Max, completing the circle. Many say the story is one of reincarnation. Others say it's the echo of love refusing to fade. But one thing remains true in every version. Loyalty doesn't end with death. Kindness does not go unseen. And sometimes the forgotten return, not to ask for remembrance, but to remind us to remember each other. Use a gentle, emotional tone with soft background music. Let the pacing be slow enough for the listener to reflect. Emphasize key phrases like two souls, one heart, bound in loyalty beyond death, and love refusing to fade to create a deeper connection.